So, F175. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would, to be honest. I was low-key hating on it the entire time, and by the end, I said, oh, that was fun. So, it exceeded my expectations going into it. I was not very excited. I thought it was going to be similar to the weird, overhyped things that F1 seems to try to do to get more fans. I thought it was going to give the Vegas driver intro ceremony in 2023, and it didn't. I think it was a success. In the end, I think I prefer the build-up of having the individual teams do their own livery reveals. I just like the build-up of excitement. It's kind of boring now that it was one and done and now it's over. However, I was concerned that I would be bored and I wasn't. So in that sense, I think it was a success. I also think the 75-year anniversary of F1 was a good excuse to do it. I'm not sure if they'll do it next year. If they do, they'll for sure base it on the success of this year's. But I think a reason this year might have been successful is simply because of Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. I think that generated enough interest that people wanted to see the reveal of whatever that was, and F1 was able to capitalize on that. I'm not sure people care enough about livery reveals in general in this way to sit there for that. Then again, a lot of F1 fans would watch this. I'm just not so much sure if casual fans would watch it. It did also seem to be enjoyable from the TV experience as well as in person. At least, of course, I wasn't there. I only watched it on television. So from my perspective, it looked good both ways, which I think is important. My major complaint is that in a lot of ways it felt very self-congratulatory. Parts of it really reminded me of the F1 exhibition that came to Toronto. I emphasized that it was the Toronto exhibition because it was the first North American exhibition. I have a hunch that that exhibition was different than some of the European exhibitions. It felt very geared towards new fans, and in that way is very much emphasizing the prestige of F1 in a way that I don't super appreciate. I'll be honest, the prestige helps you get into F1, but I think F1 has an ego. I don't personally love the ego. I think the ego can get in the way of racing. And then I'm an IndyCar fan, and I think that ego and prestige prevents people from becoming IndyCar fans because IndyCar doesn't have an ego. It's just racing. And so that's my complaint. But then again, I think a lot of F1 fans do kind of enjoy that aspect, so what can I say about that? One thing I really did enjoy about the show was that it was award show style. I appreciated that they had all the different tables and people sitting around, and there's a lot of interaction with drivers, with team principals, with previous drivers. Everybody was there. I have to give a major shout out to the MC Jack Whitall. He was fantastic. I think he was honestly the star of the show, and he is what made it so much fun. He kept the energy going. His jokes were amazing. I love that he asked Gordon Ramsay what his thought was on the swearing ban. However, I did feel that Will Buxton was noticeably missing. Maybe that was just because I was thinking about it. I am an IndyCar fan, so again, I am appreciative that Will Buxton is moving to IndyCar from F1 TV. If you want to learn more about that, I had a whole podcast episode about that. I will link it. But it feels like that they did not fill the gap. I'm not sure if they're going to be hiring anybody or moving anybody around. I'm sure they will, because Will Buxton had a pretty significant role with F1 TV, but I noticed he wasn't there. I also think it was interesting that it was fully the F1 TV crew. Of course, that's what makes sense because it was an F1 event. However, you think of testing, and of course testing, they have the two different crews because it is so long, but even testing is split up between the F1 TV crew and the Sky Sports crew. And so a lot of the event felt very British, which makes sense because it was in London. But I'm curious to know if any of the European F1 fans, or even just the majority of F1 fans, I feel like a lot of people watch, especially in North America, a lot of F1 fans watch through the Sky Sports feed. The Sky Sports feed is what is on ESPN. The Sky Sports feed is what is on TSN in Canada. When I bought F1 TV, I watched the Sky Sports feed until I realized I liked the F1 TV feed better. So I do wonder if maybe there felt like a bit of a disconnect. Their usual voices weren't in their head. So if anybody who watches is a Sky Sports watcher, let me know if you felt that way. I have to say I did not enjoy the music, especially with the opening with Machine Gun Kelly. I was like, this is strange. The music choices from F1 were kind of odd. Machine Gun Kelly, and then I can't remember who was in the middle, and then whoever was at the end, I actually don't know them. I did notice that it was the song from Menorah. That's how I know that song. it felt weird. It felt like that was kind of disconnected from what they're trying to do, because that was kind of my big issue, was it kind of felt blurry who was this for. I think in the end it was for new fans specifically. Like I said, not even necessarily casual fans. I don't think casual fans would care enough to come and sit and watch this for 2+ hours, especially like for next year when we remove the Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari out of it all, though who knows, there could be a big shakeup next year. I especially think it was for the new fans because it was free to stream on YouTube, TikTok, I think it was also on Instagram. So they're really trying to get people where they are. You didn't even have to like watch on a broadcaster or watch on F1 TV. It was literally free streaming only on social media. Though where I did get confused was some of the music choices. Those felt more targeted to, I mean, Machine Gun Kelly was just weird. The last one, I apologize, I can't remember who they are. They felt like they were geared to like long-time fans. But then again, I'm not British. Maybe they're more popular in Britain and that was a more enjoyable thing for everybody. I don't know. It didn't appeal to me. One thing I did have questions about was if this is kind of part of F1's kind of way they're trying to control things. It takes away the autonomy of the individual teams to do things the way they want, in the same way that now the teams are not allowed to post on social media as much as they were, because they're preserving things for Drive to Survive and the banning of swear words. It feels kind of part of F1 wants things to be their way, and I don't know if that's a positive thing. I don't know, I say that, but then despite that, they were boos. The audience let people know how they felt. They booed the FIA. I'm for that. They booed Christian Horner. I am also for that. And they booed Max, which I'm not super for. I don't know. Max has grown on me. I think this past season, 2024 especially, gave me a big appreciation for Max. I was like, yeah, you can't deny he's a fantastic driver. 4-time championship? Maybe the first one he didn't deserve, but the rest, yeah, he did. One more thing I have to mention is that the car reveals tend to be very big corporate events for the teams, very big in sponsor activation, pleasing the sponsors. And so I am curious what taking that away does. I think that is kind of good for the fans. We just cut to the chase of this is whatever show they want to put on. This is the car. You don't have to sit through that like 30-minute ramble of them thanking all of their sponsors. But I am curious how sponsors feel about that. I think maybe that was a good decision for the fans, but maybe not for the teams. I don't know. So I overall enjoyed the show of it all. I think it was very well executed. I have to say that. And so now let's get into the individual teams, because I do believe that the teams did get to decide what they did with their time, which was interesting. It was very interesting to see how different teams used their time. Some did very well, you'll see who I think, and some did very poorly, which you will also see who I think. I'm going to be touching on the liveries a little bit here, but not too much. The focus will be on whatever show each team put on. I will do a livery ranking video soon. All right, so getting started with Sauber, their show very much felt like how their own car announcement would go. It felt like their typical livery reveals, very much with the renderings. And I do have to say, I loved the car. I thought the car was gorgeous. I love the green. Maybe it's just because I like the color. It was gorgeous. The kind of fade, what's it called? Oh my God, what is it called? I actually can't remember what it's called. The fade from green to black didn't look so good in real life, but the graphics looked good, so I'm sure it will be fixed when we have the real car. One thing I have to say about the Sauber, don't like the overalls. Something about the font on the legs didn't like, but I loved their car, and I think it's going to look good, and you will spot it. You will absolutely spot it. And I think they do the color on the nose and black on the rest the best, especially because the black and green is their theme. Moving on to Williams, I have to say I was not as sad to see Carlos in the Williams as I thought. I am a Carlos fan, and I was dreading the day that I would see Carlos in the Williams. However, it felt better than I thought. Maybe it's because the white was a good outfit. It all looked good. The car was not very cute. Didn't love the blue. It just felt kind of bland. Looks kind of the same, which of course, but I thought the framing of their sort of intro video was very interesting. They showed all of their success. They said, that was then, this is now, to try to set themselves up to be like, hey, look, we're serious about rebuilding. We have the money now with our title sponsor. we're trying. We have Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. They are very good drivers. We are trying to get back to that championship winning place. Look, we believe we can do it. Do you know what? I'm not going to put it past them. I think it might take more time. It's probably not going to be 2026, but maybe by the next set of regulations, they could be in a much better position, especially when it, their internal organization was crap, tracking things with Excel sheets. And I don't know if that's the best. So I'm looking forward to it. Do have to say, hate Carlos Sainz's helmet. I understand that he wants the Spain colors and that Williams need that coloring. Doesn't look good together. Just doesn't. So yeah, enjoyed how they framed it. I thought that was very interesting. Car was bland. I was ready to move on. Oh, one last thing about the Williams and a few of the other teams. Why were they making them do selfies? That was strange. That was awkward. And I thought it was something they were going to force everybody else to do, but no, they only did it to like a few teams. So that was weird. Didn't like that. Moving on to VCARB. I will in fact be calling them VCARB. I am not calling them their full name. I didn't like that was their video. I thought that was weird. Not the weirdest choice of the night. You know who is the weirdest choice of the night, but not a choice I would have made. I think that like VCARB is very obviously having an identity crisis. I think there seems to be some sort of struggle with wanting to not be seen as the sister team, and I thought it was interesting that they brought out their CEO to come talk with the drivers and the team principal. That was interesting. I thought maybe it was try to kind of find a separation, add another face to the organization that's not like Christian Horner. I feel like a lot of the team and their current branding was dependent on Daniel Ricciardo, and now that he is not there, they do not have a personality to fulfill what they need, and they feel like a team that is set up to be around a personality. So it's strange that there isn't one. I do have to say, loved the car though. The car was so cute. I love how they had a sort of fade. I literally can't remember the word. All I can say is fade, when it went from the white to the blue on the back, and they had the little bowls like spaced out to help fade it out. I loved that. I thought the car was gorgeous, and it's gonna pop. It surprisingly, the Haas didn't even feel that white to me, which we'll talk about it in a second. So I liked that we had a real white car on the grid. I feel like that's kind of been missing. The Haas never feels super white to me for whatever reason, so I liked that. Okay, so moving on to Haas. What I found the most interesting about Haas was their little presentation video with the emphasis that they are an American team, which is interesting because I don't feel that they super emphasize that they're American. Even when we're in like Texas, Miami, Vegas, there's not a lot of emphasis on this being Haas's home race. So if they're preparing for Cadillac, they're saying, hey, we've been here first, actually 10 years. We are the American team, which is interesting because they do not have any American drivers. None of their staff is American. So I think Cadillac will kind of win out that war. But even Cadillac doesn't feel as American without Andretti. I don't know. That'll be an interesting little tussle there in 2026. I also just do think it's kind of interesting that people like the Americanness, they like the Texasness of Coda, and then they don't like IndyCar because it's too American. Like, I understand, I get it, I do. But give IndyCar on Fox a chance this year. I think it'll be better. Alpine. What was that? Like, actually, what was that? My sister and I sat there for the whole, 5 minutes it was on? Like, it went on far too long, and I looked this guy up. Who is this? He has 4,000 followers on Instagram. I'm actually not understanding what that was. They did not have a budget for a video or something? I actually don't understand. I do have to say though, I was excited that they did not bring up Franco Colapinto. I was scared that they would bring up Franco Colapinto. I thought it would be Franco, Jack Doohan, and Pierre Gasly, so that they didn't. Hey, success in my eyes. I did like the car. Maybe it's just because of the color, and maybe I just feel that way like about the Sauber, and that's because there was color on the car. But I liked the pink nose. I liked the blue body. It was shiny. That was one thing I noticed. A lot of these cars were very matte, and something about the lighting made them look really matte, which kind of dulled them out. In the case of the V-Carb, I liked it, but with all the other cars, it just was like, ugh. And that's how I felt about the Haas. See how I didn't even mention the Haas and their livery? It was bad. I didn't like it. It felt stark and just very, like, I'm making a face if you're just listening to this, but very, like, okay. I don't know, didn't love it. Felt very like middle ground. I liked the Alpine because of the color, and I liked that it was shiny. That's how I feel about that. And you know what? Their suits have grown on me. I kind of like that it looks like they have a little shirt and pants on. Aston Martin. Loved it. My favorite livery of the night. Fernando Alonso was correct when he said, "You've seen the best looking car. Just enjoy the rest of the evening." Yeah, he was absolutely correct. I also love that they made like a little movie out of it with that very much 007 James Bond. That was fun. I love that they came out with their Hugo Boss suits and the helmet. The sponsor said, "Yeah, absolutely, you're going to be wearing our Hugo Boss suit. We have paid you good for this." I also do like their overalls. I like the green line down it. My favorite color is green, if you can't tell from this channel. So I do enjoy the Aston Martin, and I thought it looked very good. Again, nice shiny car. I love the lime green they have throughout it, and I enjoyed that little show. I felt like it was very good, and it didn't have to rely on the drivers' personalities. I felt like a lot of the events kind of depended on the driver's personalities, and sometimes they didn't show through, especially with so many rookies on the grid. They're not always prepared, which is something I forgot to say about Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan did a very good job. He said, "Hi guys." He was the first one of the night to do it. "Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. Hope you all have fun." Jack Doohan is amazing at his media things. He got experience on F1 TV, and I think that helped get him his seat because he knows how to talk to the people. He's very good for PR. He is very good for sponsors. And so I just had to show that out. Another reason why he should be kept. I also did notice some of his sponsors on the car that I believe he brought in. So you guys know, I want Jack Doohan to stay. I do. I really hope he gets to. Okay? Anyways, back to the Aston Martin. Loved it. It was fun. I liked it. And they kept it short and sweet. I felt like they kept the energy going. And they had that song. Oh, they had Thames. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. I did. Very good. My favorite of the night. I am curious though. Do you think they like had to practice that quick change? Like, what do you think they were wearing under their overalls? I think they just took the suit jacket and the pants off, and they probably had to run in the process. It was very good. Very immersive. I feel like if you're in the arena and you hear those sirens and that lights, you'd be like, whoa. Whoa. And my sister clocked that it was James Bond themed in the first 30 seconds. So that was great. Loved it. Moving on. Mercedes. Not good. The car was the same. And it was, I feel like annoying saying this, aura-less. Lewis Hamilton was all they had. Even Toto Wolff didn't have any aura. Even George Russell came out and said, "Ooh, we don't have good energy here." Yeah, I wasn't impressed. I really do, like, I made this note. Lewis Hamilton is Mercedes, but Ferrari is Ferrari. Ferrari doesn't need Lewis Hamilton to have a good performance, to have a good energy. They just do. I think Mercedes kind of has been depending on Lewis Hamilton for a while, and now that they don't have him, it's strange. Though I do want to say it's very clear that they're in a rebuild era. You know, it was obvious with Kimi Antonelli as the choice. This was never going to be a huge season for them. I think that obviously their focus is on 2026, nailing those regulations after they did not do well with the 2022 regulations, and just getting Kimi Antonelli up to speed. So I didn't super expect much, but it feels like they're having a bit of an identity and branding crisis without Lewis Hamilton, and doesn't seem they've fixed that. I mean, they even had the bad pit stop. That was bad. Oh, that was bad. I was not impressed. It was lame. Red Bull. It was for sure a choice that they had Christian Horner come up to speak, and the people spoke back. They booed. They didn't appreciate it. I liked the little movie thing they did though. It felt very British. It felt very fun. It doesn't super feel like it has a correlation to a car launch, but we knew what the car was going to be. I think it's just a exercise in branding, really trying to make Red Bull feel like the cool person's team, feel like a very British team, feel like it's for the people in a sense, but for the people in a good way. Like, it's for the people, but we're good, by the way. The people like us. We're for the people, and they like us. And I also thought it was very funny that there was no talking. That was obviously a choice. Max Verstappen did not want to talk, and so I'm sure Liam Lawson would have talked, but because Max wasn't, they weren't going to talk to any of them. Max does look fatherly. Yeah, he looks mature, which I thought he didn't look mature, but wow, I was like, you look like a father. And I like that little hairstyle that they did on Liam Lawson. I'm like, yeah, they're trying to brand him. Overall, it was cool. I like how they just didn't put any emphasis on the car. They're like, you know what the car is. Let's just have a little fun show. Ferrari. Oh, Ferrari. Loved it. The car itself I actually did not love. I liked the little video they had. I liked that they were like, hey y'all, we've been here forever. The way I said, oh, Ferrari is Ferrari, but Mercedes is Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, they said, we are Ferrari, we've been here forever. We don't need nobody, but look who we've got, by the way. And we got him because we're the best. Their energy was actually crazy. I'm a Ferrari fan, so maybe I'm just like really hyped and hoped up. But when they walked out, I literally wrote a note. They walking out like champions. Yeah. Yeah. And then when they were talking and they were interviewing, and Fred Vasseur said, oh, our word for the season, success. Yeah. Yeah. And then he said, enjoy. That's important. I actually think that's like the key to it. It feels like Ferrari is in a place to enjoy, and I feel like that is from Lewis. Lewis is really in a place where it's like, if I'm not having fun, it's not worth it. And he obviously wasn't having fun with Mercedes last year, preparing for this year. And so then when he said his word for the year is invigorated, that was good. Because, you know, like, I feel like everybody got a little bit worried seeing how down in the dumps he was in 2024. And you couldn't tell if he had just lost it or if he had just lost it with Mercedes. At least energy-wise, it's back for Ferrari. I hope we will get to see that reflected in driving itself. Then for Charles, they said, what is his word for the year? Bro, he said, fulfilling my dream of being a champion. Yeah, I believe it. Watch my predictions. I said that. And the fact that he said honored, yeah, absolutely. This feels like a victory lap, which is interesting because they haven't won in a while. Ferrari hasn't won it for a while. Charles has never won. It's been a few years since Lewis won. But they feel very secure. They feel just here to have fun and grateful, which is important. It brings some levity. I don't know if Red Bull was always having fun. Red Bull had a sense of expectation. And of course there's expectation in Ferrari, but I think Fred Vasseur has done a very good job at improving company culture in the sense that we expect to do good because we are good. We can do well because we're Ferrari. It's not that we have to do well because we're Ferrari. Difference. The energy there just felt crazy. It felt so good. I'm just getting excited now. We have to move on. Okay, McLaren. I said Ferrari ripoff. It really did them a disservice. They sort of did the over the years type thing right after Ferrari. Obviously, they were just showing the championship winning cars, and I like that they actually brought those out on stage. That was cool. But if you're aware of the memes going around recently, I literally wrote a note. They tried to reheat Ferrari's nachos, and it was a bit stale. They were maybe fresher, but still not right. A little chemically, maybe. The cheese was not real. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. It's just to say, like, they tried to do the same thing. Ferrari did it better. The car shape was interesting. I don't know how many of those cars were the real cars. The Williams, James Vowles made a point, said, hey, this is our car. And by the way, I forgot to say, Alex Albon even said it's an improvement, which is good. I'm excited about that. But the nose looked kind of weird to me, and those side pods were they reminded me of the Ferrari in like 2022, like very deep and flat and then straight up. So I'll be interested to see if that is actually what they're going for, or if they're just trying to throw everybody off. I don't know. I haven't paid much attention to the cars we have seen yet because I'm not an engineer. You'd think it'd feel a bit more victorious. Like if I watched that and I didn't know who I'd won, I would have felt like Ferrari was the reigning champion, not McLaren. So that's interesting. We'll have to see. Maybe it's just because maybe Lewis just really did enough. The Lewis Hamilton Ferrari was enough. It was enough for the night. Again, maybe that sold the whole night. I'm not sure. But overall, I quite enjoyed that much more than I thought I would. If they did it again next year, I would not be disappointed, per se. It does really feel like we're in the season now. It feels like we're getting ready to go, even though testing is not until next week. It's usually around this week. And the first race is still quite a while away. That which feels weird. I feel like we're ready to go. But again, the whole season is starting later because of Ramadan, and we rejigged the schedule. But I'm really excited. I enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know who your favorite livery was. But more importantly, because we'll talk about that in my next video, what was your favorite, performance? I don't know what to call that. Who was your favorite team's presentation? That's what it is. Mine was for sure the Aston Martin. Loved the livery, loved the presentation, but the Ferrari energy was good. Anyways, thank you all for watching and or listening. Please give this a thumbs up, comment, give it a 5-star rating, subscribe, follow, do all of the things. Again, I'm putting this out there. I have got this set up on podcast platforms. So if you prefer to listen to this as a podcast, or even you can watch it on Spotify, the links are down below. And I will be back very soon. We're going to be making a lot of videos up until the season starts. So be ready.